Hello, Mario Hernandez, CPA with Miami Accountant. Today we're going to be talking about Fishbowl parts and products and how they integrate with QuickBooks Online and how they affect your accounting in the way you've set them up, in the way that transactions using those parts and products get sent over to QuickBooks Online, the accounting effect it's going to have on your financial statements and managing that. So when you first integrate QuickBooks Online with Fishbowl, you're going to automatically have these service items created in QuickBooks Online. These are for special items or special parts and products in Fishbowl that Fishbowl uses to send over information to QuickBooks Online. And it's going to be based off whatever you set up in your initial setup in Fishbowl. When you do the integration wizard, it's going to ask you what account you want to use with associated pricing, with discounts, with miscellaneous items, and with your sales tax. And according to whatever account you put in when you set that up, that's what you're going to have mapped to these service items that get created for you in QuickBooks Online. What I'm referring to is when you come over to your accounting module and accounting integration under configure, when you connect QuickBooks Online, you're going to get the QuickBooks Online integration wizard. And here you have your discount information you're putting in. You have your inventory asset. You have your sales tax account that you're mapping from QuickBooks Online. So whatever you're putting in here, that's what QuickBooks Online uses when you first set it up to set up these special service items. So you have 4 that it sets up automatically. Separate from that, whenever you create a part or product in Fishbowl, it's not going to automatically create them for you in QuickBooks Online. It's going to wait until you use them in a transaction, and that's when it's going to push it over to QuickBooks Online. So we'll come over to our materials and to our parts. And we already have existing parts in this Fishbowl demo database, and we can create new ones as well. So I'm going to actually go to an existing one. Let's say this accessories bell. If I come over to the accounts tab, normally we're in general, but if I come over to the accounts tab, we have our 4 accounts. Our asset account, that's when you purchase the item, when you purchase this part, this is where it's going to debit when it goes over to QuickBooks Online. Your cost of goods sold account, that's going to be debited when you sell it. Then the adjustment account, that's used for adjusting it when you do inventory adjustments in Fishbowl. And your scrap account. If you were to use the scrap function in Fishbowl, this is the account it's going to go to. And then you're going to have an associated product. The product that's associated with this part, under the details tab, you have your income account. So that's the account that's going to be used for this particular product. So whatever you have put into these, when you create a part, or if you already have a part existing, when that part has not already been created for you yet in QuickBooks Online, this is the information it's going to use. So if I go ahead and create a transaction using this, so let's say I go to purchase, do a purchase order for this here, ACB01. And I'm going to go ahead and issue this, and I'm going to receive it and reconcile it. So I'll say I have my bill already and putting in my bill date. Normally you would receive and then later on you would reconcile, but purposes of this video, we're just going over the effect of the accounts and the accounting of creating these parts and products and how that works with QuickBooks Online. I'm going to finish this. So I've, in essence, created a bill for this. So when we go over to our accounting integration, I'm going to go ahead and export this. You'll notice that there is no export for items or for parts or products. Before I created that bill, had I come here, it would have told me I had nothing to post, because just creating a part or product does not automatically create an exportable situation or an occurrence. You have to export a transaction that uses that part for it to create that part in QuickBooks Online. So when we go over to QuickBooks Online, we'll notice a bill was created. There's just a data validation, but nothing else. No there is no items to be created within this export that it's going to show us. Coming back to QuickBooks Online, if I refresh this screen here with our products and services, I'm going to have one new service here. And another thing to note is that everything is of service type. Fishbowl works only with service type. It's not going to work with the other types that are in QuickBooks Online or offered by QuickBooks Online. So none of those other types are compatible. For it to work with Fishbowl, it has to be of service type. And here's the one that got created, this ACB01. If I edit it, we'll see the accounts. So for sales purposes, it's using this sales of product income. That is the account that I had set up here in my product. If I come over to details, sales of product income, that's what I have set up. And then for the purchasing, it's using inventory asset. If I come back to Fishbowl, under my part, the account that's here is the inventory asset account. That's what's used for purchasing. So it brought over what I had in Fishbowl to QuickBooks Online in order to create this new service item in QuickBooks Online. So a few things to note. If you were to create a part in Fishbowl and not create a related product, say you just purchase it but you don't sell it, when it creates it here in QuickBooks Online, it's still going to mark it as I sell this service to my customer. So it's going to, regardless of whether you create a product or not, it's going to check both of these boxes in QuickBooks Online. So I'm going to say, yes, I want to leave without saving. So it created it. If I was to go look at my transactions that were created to look for that bill, I have the bill. And then the accounting that happened, if I look at the transaction journal, it's going to be debiting my inventory asset account, which is the account that's associated with this service item. So accounting wise, this is very important to understand. For whenever the actual service item is used in a transaction, whether it's a bill or an invoice when you sell it, it's going to be using whatever you have in QuickBooks Online under the accounts. So my income account for invoices, whenever this service item is put on an invoice, this is the income account it's going to use. Whenever this service item is put on a bill, this is the inventory asset account it's going to use. So that's important to note, because even though I have in Fishbowl, I created these and this is exactly what it sent over. If you ever need to do an update to this, so let's say you created it, and I've seen this happen with many clients. They just use the defaults, they create them, but then later on they realize that for some items they want them to use different accounts and they want to update that later. Fishbowl allows you to update it. So if I was to come over here, for example, and I come over to my accounts, I don't want to use inventory asset. Instead, I want to use just one I have called inventory within QuickBooks. So I'm changing it to inventory. I don't want to use inventory asset. I'm going to save that. So that has been saved. And then let's say that on my product, I don't want to use sales of product income anymore. I want to use one that's just called sales, which happens to be my default. I'll save my product. So I've updated them both in Fishbowl. So let's say now that, come back to my part. So they're both updated. If I come over here to my accounting integration, there is nothing to post. It's not wanting to go to QuickBooks Online and update the accounts that are associated with that part and product under the service item. It's not asking to do that. Let's say I go ahead and purchase something. I'm going to do a new purchase for that part, which is ACB01. So let's come over to here. ACB01. And let me change my group here. All right, I'm going to issue that. And now I'm going to go receive it. I'm going to say that it's been received and that it's been reconciled. We'll call this invoice 2001. We'll use today's date and finish this. So we created a bill. That bill, now that's going to push something to QuickBooks Online. Before we saw how the bill created the item because the item did not exist in QuickBooks Online yet. Now let's go ahead and export and we'll see what happens. So the bill has been created. If I jump to QuickBooks Online and I refresh this, refreshing the parts and products list, and I come over here to edit, I had changed this to just sales. And I had changed this to inventory, not inventory asset. So let me come back to Fishbowl. My product, I updated it to sales, and my part, I updated it to inventory. But that did not get updated on my service item here. It still says sales of product to income. It still says inventory asset. Okay, let me cancel out of here. Come back to my search here. And then here's my recent transaction. So let me click on it. This is the bill that just came over. And if I look at the journal entry behind the scenes, I would hope it will come to inventory, but it's not going to come to inventory, even though that's what I updated in Fishbowl. It's coming to inventory asset. So this is important to note that once an item exists in QuickBooks Online, any changes you do in Fishbowl to that item's accounts are not going to be pushed over to QuickBooks Online. So how do you handle this? What you want to do is update it in both. That's my recommendation. It's more accounting wise, you got to update it in QuickBooks Online. You got to come over here to the item and edit it here. And here I would have to change it. I want this to just go to the sales account. And then I want on the purchasing to go to the account called inventory. And then you would save it here. You have the option of updating historical transactions if that's something you want to do. So in this case, it came to the wrong account. I would say, yes, update my historical transactions. And then it's going to fix anything that came wrong in terms of the purchasing side of it, updating that. But this is what it uses whenever it records a transaction in QuickBooks Online. It does not use what was over there in Fishbowl if this item already existed in QuickBooks Online. My recommendation, update it in both. You don't want to only update it in QuickBooks Online because then you're going to be looking at Fishbowl and looking at this information and it's not really what's in QuickBooks Online. So just update it in both simultaneously, and that way both systems will show the same information and your accounting will be correct, because whatever you're looking at here, that's what's going to end up showing up in your accounting in QuickBooks Online. Also related to this is if you are already starting in QuickBooks Online and you already have service items, take note, there's no way to import that, at least from the accounting integration module. If you notice, importing items is not one of the options with QuickBooks Online. So since that option is not there, I mean, there's other ways to import information into QuickBooks Online. You can come up here to File and import that way from Excel, but not from the accounting integration module. And so anything you update in QuickBooks Online or anything that exists in QuickBooks Online, you need to update in Fishbowl and just have them updated in both so they match. And that's going to be the best way for you to keep things right for your accounting. Please subscribe and hit that like button to support our channel, and we will see you next time.